So I just finished up my first run of the training block for Project 10K. It's just 2 weeks to do this, so I gotta get it right. I'm obviously very competitive. I found that out at my 5K. I was going for 23 and was able to get sub 20. So that's what this video is about. It's a little bit of a race recap. You know, all the things that I was nervous about pre-race absolutely disappeared. I mean, one of the main reasons that was the case is I wasn't there by myself. You know, there was plenty of people to follow. There was a crowd migrating to the right spot. I had my wife and my kids with me. We parked in the first lot available, so it was a further walk to get to the race. But when we were leaving, it was just straight back onto the road. So I'd never done an organized race like this. And the announcer comes on and says, hey, if you're in it to win it, get to the front, and if you're here just to have fun, get in the back. So I heard the people around me discussing, like, oh yeah, my best is 24:50, but there's no way I'm doing that today, and I'm trying to get under 30. And so, like, I'm not judging their times, because at one point it would have been a milestone for me to get below 30. So I just felt like I was in the wrong spot. So it was too late. I was there. Gun goes off, the race starts, and I was like, okay, the first thing I need to do is I need to get just out of this pack, get out of this group that I'm currently running with. And so I went out of the gates pretty hard. Past people, past the group. I got behind one woman for a while, and I was like looking at my watch, and I was like, this is faster than the pace I wanted to run. Like, come on, you got this. Go ahead. And I just kept, you know, pulling back the next person, catching that person. We got to the turnaround spot, and I was like not really in eye shot of anybody once I turned. And so I thought, okay, now it's just a race with myself, and now I get to run my own race. I've been running with other people this whole time. You know, I was like, I'm halfway there. I know how far it is now. I remember the landmarks. I made mental notes on my way. I was like, okay, so here's a mile, here's what I saw. Here's a half mile, here's what I saw. So when I could recognize those points, I would know when I wanted to do my kick. And I got caught by a local high school cross country coach. I needed the motivation, and I took off. I passed 2 more people, and my wife said, she was talking to my daughter, and she was like, we got to kind of walk back to the line. We got to go wait, see if your dad's getting close. She said, wait a second, I see him. That's your dad. She's like, I looked at the clock, and you were about to beat 20, and if you weren't sprinting, I was gonna tell you, scream it, you better run. And I got it. And my official time was 19:53.6. I got beat by, let's see, the second place finisher overall was in the Grand Masters age division. And there was also a woman who was pregnant, pushing her 2-year-old in a stroller, that beat me pretty significantly. Obviously, I'm proud of what I did, but obviously there's a lot of room for growth too. So I'm so happy with that. If you would have said, okay, for this 5K, Joe, you have to get under 20, I would have told you there was absolutely no way. Couldn't have asked for anything better, couldn't have asked for any more to give, and that was my absolute full capacity for that race. I sold out completely, 100% of what I had. And so now as I transition into this 10K prep, the lessons are, number 1, I'm not pushing myself hard enough. My expectations are too low on my speed days. And then the other thing is, if I was running a 10K on that day, I would have been walking the last mile, because I just sold out way too quick. So I've got to do better pacing. So now I think I know a lot more about what a race pace is like for me. And obviously it slows down a little bit as you increase distance, but I am no longer a person who's never done an organized race. I've been there, I've done it, I've seen the people. There's high schoolers that beat me. There was a high school girl that was the last person that I passed. She was rapid, and I just got her right in the last, not 1/10 of a mile, but last 1/4 of a mile. And you're very rarely ever gonna be the best runner there. And so what's the point in doing anything but running your race. If you get motivated and you know you can keep going and keep finishing it, yeah, and that's what happened to me. But if I try to do that over 6.2, I'm not gonna make it. So I've got to find a pacing scheme and I've got to stay with it. When the finish line starts to rear its head, I can decide, do I have more or do I need to just hold on to this? To recap the 5K, it was a great event. There was phenomenal people there. Everybody was very nice, very talkative. Even in the race, people were motivating each other. I chose to run without music, no headphones, didn't carry my phone, didn't carry my camera with me or anything, you know. Project 5K, race number 1 of 16 is done. 2 of 16 is in, what is it now, 12 days. It's coming right up. 5K done, and I'm as happy as I could possibly be with what I did in that race. I want to be as happy as that for my 10K, but maybe less surprised. Maybe have a realistic goal, beat that goal, and maybe if I would have gotten sub 23, just barely, I would have been just as happy. But 20 is like one of those milestone times where you're like, okay, I've done it. I did a sub 25K, and some people never get to say that. The guy who won did a 15, barely over 15, and sub 18 might be what we're looking at. Anyway, thanks for following along Project 5K. This is the end of that. It's been fun to learn training wise, filming wise, editing wise, YouTube, and hopefully everything keeps getting better from here. Thanks guys. See you at Project 10K episode 1 coming soon.